Well, here he is, Australia's favourite Bassmaster Elite Series pro, Carl Jocumsen, mate. First of many behind you there, those blue trophies, we hope, isn't it?
Yep. Hopefully add a couple more there throughout the years and maybe an AO White and a Classic. But that's I'm definitely glad to see that sitting up there. There's no doubt.
How much media attention have you got? You know, just remember, we've always loved you and we've always given you a bit of a cut. How many people wanting a slice of the pie at the moment, mate? I saw Luke Duncan was around the other day getting you on the Big Boys show, the Boats and Pros. Tell us, how did that bullet go, mate? Did you get it up to wide open or what?
No, I should have jumped in because I'm used to driving the Bass Cat, so I'm pretty keen on the speed now. I should have given it a crack, but Luke trying to do it was, as you saw, it was a pretty sketchy boat. I think it weighed some ridiculous amount. It was like basically a 250 on the back of a feather, and we were trying to drive it. But it was pretty cool. You know, he's doing a lot of great things, and he's interviewed Jason Christie, Jordan Lee, Gerald Swindle, and then me. And to be saying that right now and my name be the fourth in line in those three names is just kind of pretty amazing, you know, to me. I'm just like, this is crazy. And he did just such a great job of like that his interview and talk and getting to be in the shop here and talking about all those little experiences and just stuff I sometimes don't get to talk about. So that came across really well.
Awesome, mate. And look, I know you're in your shop there at the moment. You put a lot of work into it. Let's just, if we wind back 12 months, you were in a totally different place, mate. I want you to give the Lockdown Live viewers just a quick tour of what you got going on in the shop there. And after that, we're going to sit down and talk about Lake Eufaula Bassmaster Elite. So give us a tour of the shop.
So I've set up, you know, my bench here, work on all my baits and lures, got the trophies and stuff up there, got all my Mustang suits and stuff that I set up there after I get back from fishing. And then I've got I've set up all my benches here. I've actually set up a full rod building station so I can fix my guides properly on my millers so they look all mint and perfect. I fixed guides for about 10 years working in tackle in Australia, so I'm good at it. So I'm just getting everything dialed, all my tackle, all of my baits, all my Molex stuff, my Molex frogs, baits up, Bassmans, everything. And I just got a big line order in. I got spooling station, everything so when I get back in, I'm just, you know, I treat this like this is full-time, exactly what I do. And just dreamt of having this place, and I almost had it in Australia. And then I sold it all and moved over here and lost everything that I had. And to be able to get that break and build all of this stuff back up that was in my mind of like my ultimate dream place, it's slowly coming together. So got the Hobie out back here, and it stays here. I work on it almost every day, adding stuff to it, and I take it down to the lake. I just fished the lake this afternoon and caught a bunch of big ones on my signature frog. Got the Miller rods stand here with all my millers are up above the camper and in the boat. And then the Bass Cat sits there. I've actually got Josh Douglas here. He's fishing the big tournament on Chickamauga right now. So he's staying here. We're 15 minutes from the number one lake in the whole country. And behind us, this was just a loft and it was all open. And so now that's all closed in, and our bedroom's upstairs. And then we have like downstairs has a kitchen. So we just live in this shop, but the window's up there in my bedroom. I look out and can see the Bass Cat. So that's my favorite part. And then I got my little
thin eyesight.
Yeah. It's like right there and there. And then got my workout deal here. So I've been staying fit and healthy while we've been in quarantine. And then it's been a lot of fun. You know, the quarantine's been bad and it sucks, but for us, we got married in October and back to tournaments nonstop and pretty hectic all the way leading up to the tournament. And we got to the win at 10 Killer we were able to buy this place. And the week before 10 Killer, you know, we told the people that we couldn't buy this place and we needed our deposit back just to get through the off season. And they put $2,500 back into our account on like the Wednesday of practice at 10 Killer. And won that tournament. And on Monday morning, we rang him and said, we got the money. And kind of mind blowing. Yeah, they're like, how did that happen that quick? And we got this place, and it's just been an absolute dream. And for me, through all of this stuff that's going on, we've been able to work on the place, spend time. Me and Kayla spend time together, and really turn this into a home, and continue to fish and stay healthy and stay, on the ball and ready to go for when this season kicks on. We didn't want to be behind. I wanted to come out of this better. And that's what we've tried to do, and that's how I feel, even though Eufaula didn't go the way we hoped, but that's how fishing goes.
We'll whack the phone down, mate, and it's only because I'm going to get a bit car sick soon if you keep on holding it like that. Let's have a chat about Eufaula. Take us through the process, mate. Usually you go to a ledge tournament, you get your ass handed to you, but you've started to work this ledge fishing deal out. Tell us, take us through that tournament.
Well, the biggest thing, for me is I've worked super hard on learning my graphs and learning, basically trying to be the best angler that I can possibly be in every aspect. I never wanted to be that guy that was just decent at certain things and not at others. And that's kind of what takes a long time. If you're a specialist at something, when you run into those tournaments, you generally top 10 or win. But then you're going to run into a lot of tournaments where that is just not the deal, and it's gonna hurt you. So I've worked very hard in becoming the best I can be at every different aspect of this whole of tournament fishing and bass fishing over here. And hummingbird and Minn Kota and all of that, I've been using hummingbird since I can remember. And I've gotten to see the graphs getting better and better and use each individual one as they progress through every year. And it's become, it was in Australia, it was a huge deal for me. I feel like I was better at graphing than, using my sounders than most. And it helped me on Somerset and those schooled fish and Glenbourne. And I remember a Glenbourne tournament, I was finding schools of bass on side imaging in an ABT, 80 feet out to my right and left. And also the Kania AFC, that was when it first came out, and me and Tim were Team Hummingbird. I don't know if that's the one where I won all four, but I think it was, because I was Team Hummingbird. And we idled up that river of Kania, and we had this side imaging, and we seen these like grains of rice, like left and right off the drop-offs at Kania. And we were like, that looks like bass. And that's when we stopped and we started spinnerbaiting that drop. And those giants they were big bass sitting on that ledge. And ever since that day and that week, and I won, I knew exactly when I was going to get that bite, bringing that spinnerbait off that ledge. We found them on side imaging. And what year was that? What year was Team Hummingbird?
It was it was probably 12 years ago now.
But yeah, it'd have to be 12, 13 years ago. And so, all of those experiences have given me a lot of confidence in my graphs. And then now I have 4 12 Solixes. I have 360, which I catch probably 90% of my fish from. I have Spotlock, Ultrex. Like, there's no excuses. I've got the best of the best gear, and I've put all my time and energy into it, and that showed at 10 Killer. I utilized every little piece of those things to win that event. Now we come to Eufaula. I've been fishing. I've been staying on the ball. All my boat this year is so dialed in. I've fixed all the power problems. I've had a guy, Sonar Pros, come in, rewired the entire boat direct to batteries. I'm getting 13 volts to every unit. Like, every little thing I can do, I've been maximizing to try and be at its peak. And that's what it's doing right now. So we roll to Eufaula, the most famous ledge lake in the whole country. It's the middle of June. It's stinking hot. The water temps are in the 80s and rising. The tournament the week before gets won on offshore brush piles and ledges, and it's only getting hotter. And so the first day of practice, I roll out there and I start searching, side imaging. I find isolated brush piles on sneaky little creeks that I'm finding on Lake Master. I stop, trolling motor down, 360 picks them up. I make precise casts with my Molex jig, 3/4 ounce, and drag it through that brush pile, and donk, 7-pounder. Next brush pile, 4-pounder. Next brush pile, 5-pounder. Move a couple hundred, miss a couple, find another one, cast in there. I had 23 pounds in about 40 minutes, first morning of practice, and I was like, middle of June, late Eufaula, only getting hotter. This is where they're everything I've learned about largemouth bass. This is where they're coming. They're going to get, it's only going to get better. I'm all in. I'm going to look for, I don't want to run out of areas. I'm going to look for as many of these as I can. So that's what I did. And I searched and I marked hundreds of them. And every 20, I'd make one cast, and majority of the time, the jig wouldn't even hit the bottom. It'd just get carried away by a big one. Well, the lake rose 6 inches, and that they never usually do that at that time of year. It usually stays stable. It hadn't really rained, but they decided to lift the lake. The lake rose 6 inches, which is nothing. That moved every bass from 20 to 22 and 25 feet to 10, 12 feet and to the bank. And so every bass that I was finding literally swam up to those shallower brush piles and went shallow. And shallow looked good. And so I knew they were going to catch them up there, but I knew it wasn't going to last. Day 1, day 2, maybe it was going to, and that's exactly what happened. But they lifted it enough that those shallow fish lasted them 2 days, enough to knock me out and for them to keep going into day 3. And 15 pounds anywhere in the whole country is pretty solid. Like, if you catch 15 in some of the best places in the US, you're going to be in the top half of the field. I caught 15 pounds on the first day. I was super disappointed, but I was on ESPN and everything. And I rolled in like, man, I kept myself in it. Top half, tomorrow, make some adjustments. Everything's good. I roll in. I don't know where I was at, but I think it was in the 70s. Like, it was ridiculous. I'm like, they just absolutely smashed them. And, you know, I just learned so much that, like, no matter what happens, like, when that water rises, those fish just, and I know better, but, like, when it's that time of year and it's that lake, too many things lined up for me to say, like, literally, I didn't make a cast to the bank for 3 days straight. Like, I just locked in. And in one sense, I'm proud of myself. That's how I was confident and I did all the right things and I wouldn't have changed anything. But this is where the fine line of this kind of tournament fishing happens. There's a decision you need to make of, is it timing and do I stay there? Or is it not timing and it's gone and now I need to abandon everything? And in my heart, I was thinking it was timing, and that's what happens out there. You get on a bad rotation, guys fish in front of you, catch a couple, you can't get them, and then you hit the right rotation, or the sun comes out, or afternoon comes, and you just catch 25 pounds in 30 minutes. And so my gut feeling told me that window was going to open for me and I was getting enough bites to be like, just bigger ones are going to come, they're going to come, and it just never happened. And on day 2, I started opening up the arsenal a little bit and looking outside the box because it wasn't happening. And I got on a crankbait bite with a big 10XD, which gets down deep. And I found this one cast, and I caught them every cast for an hour. And now I was getting doubles. Like, there's 2 fish on the one bait. They're both holding onto it. And I'm getting them in, and it's just mayhem. And I caught them until they stopped, and I had 13 pounds. And I said, well, there's schools just like this with bigger versions of those fish in it. I just need to find it. And so I put the rest of the day into looking for that, and I just kept catching 2.5 pounder and 2.5 pounder. And it was one of those things where it's enough to keep you in. And then there's 30 minutes to go, and you're like, oh no, it's like not going to happen. They're gone. And, I just learned some lessons about really making, even though when you are locked in, making sure you keep those options open and finding enough areas to where I should have been able to have enough areas to just poke up to 12 feet and fish some 12 feet brush piles and go to the bank and hit a nice stretch that had some fish and get some bites. And they're the lessons you learn over in this sport. It's crazy.
Previous ledge fishing tournaments, and you've come in without a limit. So to catch 30, 40, 50 fish and to just not
Yeah.
have the white rate. I think you're getting in the zone where at least you're not looking for the fish. You're just trying to look for the right fish now. So we see that as a positive here as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mate, give us before we finish off this afternoon, tell us about your next stretch. You know, like it's a fairly compressed elite series now, but you're about to head north, and you don't mind it up there, do you?
Yeah, no. About my favorite area on the planet, I reckon I'm about to head to. This is something pretty crazy. Like, if you have this is going to be super interesting, and I'm excited for this next stretch because the most I've ever fished is 2 back-to-back tournaments. So if you have a back-to-back elite event, when you finish that, you feel like you just went 10 rounds with Tyson. Like you could sleep for days. It's your body, your mind, everything just hurts. You're so tired, worn out. You haven't slept. It's like, it's a marathon. It's a 2-week marathon. And they have done stats that if you finish in that top 12 on that final day, you are like 95% chance of finishing in the bottom 60 in the next tournament. So it's that shows how much physical and mental energy is involved in fishing. So when we have back-to-back tournaments, the last day you finish on the Sunday, then you have to be at another lake in another state practicing the next morning. Monday morning it starts. It's ready to go. And so those guys would make top 12s, be totally beat and tired and worn out, ready to go and sleep for a couple of days. Now they've got to drive 10 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, maybe 12 more, and be at the water at daylight the next morning practicing at a whole new lake all day. And so you get someone that does that. They've done the stats where majority of people that finish in that top 12, they bomb the next tournament because they're so mentally worn out. We have 4 back-to-back tournaments, not a single day off if you make the top 12 cut, in a row in New York. So we got Cayuga, Champlain, St. Lawrence River, and then a Bassmaster Open on Oneida. If you make the top 12, you don't have a single day off in 4 weeks straight. So
Love it, isn't it? That's how you love it.
That's like, to me, this is like my dream. This is what I want. This is why I've stayed fit, healthy, eating right, looking after my body, continuing to fish, work on my tackle, work on my boat, and make sure everything is in line, because this is an opportunity of a lifetime. And it could go either way, and fishing's fishing, but I'm heading up into a place where I love and I enjoy, and I've spent months and months and months of time. And hopefully we can come out of this stint and be like where we need to be in this season and ready to roll.
Mate, so I know that's your dream. My dream is to be watching on the last of those 4 events, and you belt a couple of 6-pounders on the glide to take it home and take the absolute trophy.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, all right?
Boat flip them. Yep. It's happened. It happened in a Bassmaster Open up there, and it is possible. So I'm very, very excited about this next stint. So we were going to leave a little bit early, but we're going to leave a little bit later now, just in case something happens. But it's in New York. There's a lot of things like Virginia, Canada, a lot of other states that have rules right now. But Bass is being very, they're staying down the lines, making sure everyone stays within the rules, keeping everyone safe. And I kind of want to get up there about a week earlier and fish some other lakes around in New York, get in that groove, and then be ready to slide into the first elite event.
Mate, and we all love watching the Bassmaster coverage. The guys over there do such a great job. And whenever there's a Carl tournament on, especially if you have a cameraman on board, Australia comes to work the next day looking like they've got bags under their eyes. So
that ESPN deal was very special, and Bass is working hard to make that happen at the next 4 events. And to go from it was frustrating for me because ESPN is in the boat, and I know like the fishing world is watching, but I know how important it is to actually catch fish, and I put that ahead of all of that. And it's so difficult when your plan is like crumbling in front of you, and you've got to try and entertain and show what you're doing and do all of these things. I was a little disappointed that it just didn't like happen for me, but like that's just how fishing goes, and you learn from it. And I was happy that, you know, I was on ESPN, but when you're on that first day and you're still trying to figure it out, it makes it a little bit difficult.
Just that the commentary, they did take the commentary level down a notch because they were targeting a lot of people that may not have watched fishing before. So I noticed that that Sanders and Zona really, you know, explained a lot of the rules and took it back. And I think they worked with the anglers pretty well. It's a good system you got there, and I was stoked to get onto my Optus box over here and hit the button, and there's ESPN, and I don't have to watch Bassmaster live on the iPad or the computer anymore. I can put it on the big TV.
Straight on the TV.
Away we go. Cool. So got coverage
awesome
in Australia, mate. The dreams come full circle for you.
That's pretty crazy. Even all those days on AFC, you know, have really like they were back then. You never thought about it, but they were setting me up for these kind of days because I don't feel any pressure. I don't feel any different. I actually want the cameras there. I want to show people what we're doing, and I love that Australia's watching. And those days, those first days when it used to be have the camera on me, the feeling was no different back then when I was 18 and we were on AFC and there was helicopters and cameras and we were competing. There was no different feeling then of what it would be right now on ESPN or fishing the Bassmaster Classic in front of 50,000. That feeling was the same to me, all that pressure. So to get those early days were big building days for, you know, where I'm at right now.
Thing because you still have your sleeves pulled up, mate. I wouldn't want to be a sponsor on one of your sleeves.
Nah.
You don't get any coverage. Look at
you
it
don't
right
get
now.
any. I'll cover you up.
It's a trait you're never going to lose, mate. Mate, thank you very much for taking the time to show us around the man cave and take us through the event. Your Australian fans appreciate it. And at ABT here, mate, we're real proud of you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate all of my Australian fans, sponsors, you guys. I'll never forget where I came from, and I always try and make Australia proud, always repping the Aussie flag, and that trophy and that flag right there is what it's all about.
Awesome, mate. Have a good one.
See you, mate.